Hey guys, welcome back to Vertical Momentum. I'm your host, Richard Kaufman, also known as the Comeback Coach. Guys, thank you so much for being part of VM Nation. Guys, this is going to be a fun episode. If you want to learn how to manifest the future that you want, you're going to need to listen to this episode till the end because my friend Jeff is going to talk about his amazing book that I'm on my third iteration of reading. It has totally changed my life since I've got it. I would actually put it up there with Think and Grow Rich. That's how important I think this book is. Jeff, brother, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for hopping on.
Oh, wow. Thanks for that intro and thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my honor. Now let me ask you because I do have a traumatic brain injury, and if I don't ask, I'm going to forget. What is your definition of resiliency?
My definition would be to believe in who you are. And when I say that, I'm talking about who you really are. We are somebody's creation, and I'm about to prove to you that that somebody is literally God and that he is the literal father of your spirit body. And that spirit body is the one with the life. It's the one that matters. It's the one with the force of life. And if you pop out of your physical body, that physical body is a worthless lump of clay, but your spirit body keeps going. It's immortal. And we're going to talk more about this. But once you know that and believe it, then you can bounce back from anything. Nothing that happens in the physical realm matters all that much. You're a spiritual being having a physical experience, not the other way around.
And I believe it. I'm a believer in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and I'm not afraid to say it. So people that know me know that's uh, if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't have what I have, be able to do what I do. I'm just on, like I think the old Blues Brothers. I'm on a mission from God. So, so let me ask. A lot of people would see you now and see you how successful you are and how happy you are, but wasn't always that way, was it? So take us.
No.
We're going to hop back. We're going to get into the DeLorean. We're going to hop in the Wayback Machine. So talk to us a little bit about where'd you come from, where'd you grow up, and how did you become the force that you are today?
Well, I grew up in Heber City, Utah, a small town, a cowboy town. And I grew up believing that there was only one honorable way to make money, and that's to work hard for it physically. And if you got it any other way, not just me, all of my friends, everybody from that town would think of you as something less. You didn't work hard for your money. We had names, for people, city slickers and pitchmen, and you had to work hard for your money. And so at the age of 33, that's what I was doing. I was a concrete finisher. I owned the company at that point. So I was a concrete contractor working hard for my money. And at first, that made me happy. But after 7, 8 years, going on, about 7, 8 years of working in the concrete business, I got very dissatisfied. I wasn't happy anymore. Now, I'm going to tell you something that I don't tell everybody, but I think you need to know. While I was doing that to take care of my family, I was working from sun up to sundown. And what I mean by that is 5:30 in the morning, I was up and at 'em. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, my crew would go home, but not me. That's when I'd go out selling new jobs, picking up things that we needed, collecting money. I would never get home before 7:30 at night, and usually 8:30, 9. And I'd just wolf down some food, take a shower, and throw myself in bed. And I was making about 60 grand a year back then. So things were okay. We were getting by, but it wasn't the life I wanted. There were a lot of things we couldn't do, and I had no free time. And it was about then, and believe me, I thought that my wife appreciated how hard I was working and that I was covering the bills. And here's the part that was devastating. She sat me down one day and told me how unhappy she was. I never spent any time with her. I never did anything with the kids. I didn't help with the kids. We never went on any nice vacations like everybody else was doing. And she was lonely. She felt like she was living alone with kids and no husband. And yeah, it was great. The bills were paid, but that's not the life she wanted. And that, Richard, was the moment we zoom in on my misery, just because I had no vision whatsoever of what else I could do. I was a manual laborer. I couldn't do anything else. And here now my life is shattered because that is not going to cut it. And there I am, you know.
And a lot of people I've talked to, now I think you're like my 1,100 interview. And I've talked to millionaires, billionaires like David Meltzer, $20 billion company. And something he said, even the Bible, it says, what good is it for the man to gain the whole world but lose his soul? But also, what good is it to have the house, to have the car, to have the boat, and just to be able to go to your kitchen table and sit there, eat there alone? And I think a lot of people, like me, my bride, my beautiful bride, and my three beautiful children, they're my everything. They're why I do everything. But they become my why. And I think a lot of people, when you first started in business, the money becomes the why. And then, like I was told, I wish I could remember who said it, but they said, appreciate what you have, or you're going to miss what you had. So I think you kind of came to that realization. You're like, wait a minute, if something don't change, I'm going to lose it all.
Well, you said something really powerful right there, because I was about to lose my soul. My wife and my son at the time were really everything to me. I may not have said that then or even felt it then, but when she sat me down and explained where she was, and I thought of losing her, then yeah, that would have been the literal life ripped out of me. So something had to change. Hey, and thankfully it did. I'm going to tell you a quick story here about a lady who saved me. But before I do that, I'm going to be honest. I had become disillusioned with all things religion, the Bible. I didn't want to hear it anymore. And the reason was I'd grown up very religious. I totally believed in God. I always have. I still do. But I couldn't make sense of the Bible in a practical way. How do I use this to make my life better? And every time I read it, no, I won't say that. Also, every time I talked to somebody else about it, it seemed like just a checklist of are you a good person and are you not? And it seemed like a list of things that you had to do. And I'm throwing in the church too, the things I was taught at church, where you could get blessed if you were perfect, if you did everything right. But if you did one thing wrong, you can't expect blessings. And that's like a game I couldn't win. It's just like, man, I can do a whole bunch of things right, but then one thing I don't do right, I can't expect any blessings. And I didn't feel like I was getting any. And anyway, at this moment in my life, I was that guy you did not want to run into or even talk to. And I'm not saying because I would have hurt you or been mean, but I was just surly, cross. I was that guy that if you saw me at the red light in my pickup truck with my wheelbarrow in the back and bucket of tools, you would have maybe tried not to make eye contact because there's just nothing there that you feel like could uplift you and help you. I had a foul mouth. I was working with rough and tumble guys, and This was my state when I ran into two people who had everything I wanted. I wanted to be just like them, but saw no way of doing it. These were clients. And I got a job to pour all the concrete in their beautiful backyard, their pool deck, and all their patios. They were remodeling a really beautiful home, and they were obviously wealthy, elegant people. And they would talk to us. This was weird. Richard, not very many of the homeowners we worked for would come out and interact with us. We're just the concrete guys. Go do your work and get out of our yard. But they did. They talked to us. And I had an opportunity to tell this elegant woman who I thought of as an old lady, but she was probably younger then than I am now. But she did have the silver hair. And so I thought she was older, and I was talking to her, and my conversation with her devolved into complaining. I was talking about how I worked harder than everybody else and but making less and not getting the blessings and how life was unfair. And you've heard this before. In the middle of that, she turned around and walked away, like just left the conversation without a word. And I was so embarrassed. I knew better than to complain, but there I had done it in the face of the very people I admired most. But she came back and she handed me a manuscript, a stack of papers about an inch thick. And she said, read this tonight and give it back to me tomorrow morning, please. Well, okay. I just told you my life, right? 5:30 up and at 'em, get to bed maybe, at 8:30 if I'm lucky, 9, 10, but dead tired. So I thought, oh my gosh, even if I wanted to, there's no way I'm reading your paper, ma'am, but I put it in the truck. That night, I happened to read just the first page, and I stayed up the rest of the night taking notes, uh, just finishing the whole thing. And it changed my life. Now, this shouldn't surprise anybody. Anything you try to do that's hard, there's a trick to it. And it takes somebody else usually having mercy on you and showing you the trick or telling you how to do it. Even in concrete, I remember this older finisher came and put his arm around me when I thought I was doing a good job. And he's like, brother, if you will lighten up on that trowel. Don't push so hard. You think you have to push the concrete around, but lighten up on it and let it glide. From that point on, I was a better finisher. There's always a trick. And I'm going to share with you the trick that she gave me, the blessing she gave me. It changed my entire life. Just to give you a taste, I went from being a $60,000 a year concrete guy with no free time to making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month with all the free time in the world. Now, this came in the form of a new business that just fell into my lap. It came to me from out there somewhere. That's where all your dreams, everything you want, already exists in that magical place out there somewhere. Your perfect sweetheart, your perfect career, everything. Knowledge about how to get fit and healthy, it's all out there. You just have to get it to come to you. And I'm going to tell you how to do that right now. This manuscript told the story of a real man in history named Sultan Musa of Mali. This guy is famous for being the wealthiest man to ever walk the earth and the most generous man to walk the earth. Well, I don't know how you say that, but he was incredibly generous. He gave away so much gold at one point on his trip to his pilgrimage to Mecca that as the peasants ran out to meet his big caravan of camels and horses and people, he'd give everybody gold, and it collapsed the Egyptian economy for about a year. It took almost 2 years for that economy to come back because he gave away so much money, so much gold. And he's in the history books for that. So you can go read about that event. But he didn't start out that way. Musa's father died when he was a very young boy, and this plunged him and his mother into unbelievable poverty. He had to steal food just to live. His mother couldn't guarantee him a meal every day. At the age of 12, he fell in with an older thief who they pulled off a heist together, but instead of sharing the loot with Musa, the older thief tried to kill him, tried to murder him. Well, he survived this attempt on his life, but he had what we would call a near-death experience or an out-of-body experience. And later in life, excuse me, later in life, he wrote everything that happened to him down. I mean, he wrote tons and tons of manuscripts, or let's call them parchments. He wrote profusely everything that happened to him, but he met a man made of light and love. He didn't call him Jesus. He didn't call him Allah. He didn't call it, he just said, there's a being of light and love who taught him all kinds of crazy stuff, like how the world works, how creation works, how humans are created, how they operate, how it works, how you work. And he used these principles. There's about 7 of them. So I named my book, The Sultan's 7 Secrets. It's basically the principles that this man made of light taught Musa. And Musa came back from that experience and used those principles to become unbelievably wealthy, but that's not all. Like I say, he was incredibly generous. His love is a love story for the ages. Between him and the woman he loved, it could be a movie. He loved deeply, he loved his people. It's said of him that he started construction on a new school every Friday. And in those schools, he taught these principles, and he single-handedly lifted the entire Mali kingdom out of poverty. He himself became unbelievably wealthy. I mean, to put it in perspective, he was wealthier clear back then than Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos combined. And he also stopped all the wars in the country and just turned it into this beautiful place to live where everybody was happy, prosperous. It's just a beautiful story.
Okay, but I want to hop back real quick, because when I lost my vision a couple years ago, my hearing got a lot better, not according to my wife, but I'm able to hang on certain words. So he went through this experience, seeing this light. He was taught, but then he did something. And even in the Bible times, anytime Jesus either healed somebody or did something, they had to do something. So he actually took action. I'm saying it because a lot of people are taking courses by myself, Tony Robbins, Ed Milet, and 97% of the people never act upon what they're taught. But you're saying that he took the instructions and then he went out and acted upon it instead of just taking instructions and be like, okay, next, let me get the next book. You know what I mean?
That's why I dislike the word manifesting. It's not that's not what you're doing. You're manifesting your life, but manifesting coaches have done a disservice because they teach about half the truth, but then kind of leave you with this idea that if you imagine it, then it's just going to magically happen and you just sit on the couch and wait for it to happen. That isn't how it works at all. But when I explain to you how it does work, you're going to realize that all of the effort, all of the work that you put forth to live your dream life, it's all aligned with your dream life. So it's fun. Your life becomes exciting and fun and hopeful, like a kid at Christmas time, because you know that you can have anything you want. So let's jump into this. How
Well,
do you?
wait, before we
Oh,
even jump
go
into it,
ahead, Richard.
I know we're going to get really deep, and I want to get really deep into this. I want to thank our sponsors. This
Oh,
way, we can. I want to be able to, dig deep into the subject, guys. As you know, I live in New Jersey, and here we get a lot of snow, potholes, and stuff like that. My cousin Andrea and Ernie, they own a repair station, E&A's Friendly Service. They've been in business 33 years because they do the job right the first time. And my dad came over from Italy on a boat. He said, "You always need a good mechanic, lawyer, accountant, and a good doctor." So, guys, if you're in Bergen County and you want a great mechanic that's going to take care of your vehicles the first time, where you're not having to go back and forth, check them out. Also, guys, as you know, I was with GNC for over 30 years. I love pre-workouts. I love coffee, but either they tasted like ass or they made me go to the bathroom right after I drank it. So I started my own coffee company called Vertical Momentum Coffee. Twice the energy, twice the caffeine, no crash. The best part, it's all veteran handmade. And the best part of the whole thing, 100% of the proceeds go to help veterans struggling with PTSD and homelessness. So I don't make any money off of it. But for every bag you buy, we're going to be able to put up 14 families, take care of them physically, mentally, spiritually, and financially for 1 year at zero cost to the veteran. So, guys, if you love coffee with a mission, write coffee down below, and I'll get that to you. Because for me, as you guys know, I'm a recovering addict. I'm always paying it forward and leaving. I want to leave this earth a better place than when I got here. So, Jeff, now we're going to talk. Now we're going to get into the minutia of the 7 secrets of the Sultan. So let's go.
all right. I can't cover all 7 here, but I'm going to try to cover 3. And these 3 can change your life. So let's go back to the night I read that manuscript. In the manuscript, there was something called the language of the gods. And Musa said, when anyone speaks this language, the world obeys their commands. All right, that caught my attention. I'm like, but honestly, this is so funny because I thought he's not going to tell me how. He's just going to talk about it. And, no, right there it was in black and white, how you speak the language of the gods. And when you speak this language, absolutely, the world obeys your commands. And I'm going to tell you how this works and what it is. You're probably thinking right now, oh, he's going to hold something back. He's not going to tell us what it really is. No, I'm going to right now. To explain it, I have to go to Musa's writings. He wrote a fairy tale and embedded the elements of the secrets, if you will, in the fairy tale. Now, I've written all kinds of things. I don't expect that anybody's going to ever really read it. I hope my book gets read, but I don't expect that 300 years from now, the whole world knows my book. But that's what happened to Sultan Musa of Mali. Generations later, everybody is aware of and knows about this fairy tale. He had to embed the secrets in it because he would have been killed had he not. So he wrote this great fairy tale. He published it throughout the kingdom and handed it out to anybody who came to him and said, Musa, tell us how to be rich like you. He would give them this fairy tale and then go into the elements of the fairy tale. Now, he had to do that to preserve his life because even sultans can get in a lot of trouble if you start talking too crazy. But before he became Sultan and had very little power, before he became wealthy, he for sure had to be careful. So he would teach the principles. And if anyone called him out, hey, think of this, it's the 1300s. And he says, I died yesterday, but then I came back to life. And while I was dead, I met God, or, a man made of light who taught me things that our learned scholars know nothing about. They don't understand anything. How quick do you stay alive doing that?
Not very long.
No, even today, you got to be careful what you say, or you can get in a lot of trouble. You go against the powers that be. So he would teach, and if anyone called him out, if anyone started getting agitated, or if anyone turned him in, so to speak, he'd say, "Oh, it's a great story. It's a fairy tale. Here, you should read it." Okay, this is the story of Aladdin and the magic lamp. Antoine Gallant was 100% honest from the beginning. He said he never wrote this story. He just translated it from an ancient Arabic text. Let's talk about the three elements of this fairy tale. First, you have Aladdin. Aladdin represents you, okay, but it's the conscious mind, you. It's that part of you that you think of as you. Then you have this all powerful genie who can get you anything you want if you know how to summon it, how to command it. Then you have the way to command it. You have the magic lamp. That's the thing that changes everything for Aladdin. And it's what changed everything for Musa and also for me. It's a piece of knowledge and understanding. And I'm going to give it to you right now. So after today, you're going to have your own magic lamp. But first, what does the genie represent? Musa called what the genie represented the veiled mind. Okay, but we all understand the concept of a subconscious mind. And he said your veiled mind absolutely controls your life. It is steering your life, and it will keep your life congruent with what it believes to be true about you. And we'll come back to this. So you have this inner genie, and please, you can take this to the bank. That inner genie, your subconscious mind, can get you anything you really want, anything you commit to. It has all the power in the world to do it. It's connected to all knowledge, all wisdom. It's connected to other people's subconscious minds. It's even connected to God. So it knows what new idea would make you $10 million over the next 10 years. It already knows that. It knows where your perfect sweetheart is and how to make your paths cross. It knows the answer to any health problem you have, but it will not share that with you, the conscious mind, unless it believes that that's supporting the role you're playing, the person you are. And like I said, we'll come back to this. So now here comes the magic lamp. The magic lamp is knowledge of the communication that's taking place between the conscious and subconscious mind. Okay, earlier I said that whatever the subconscious mind believes to be true about you, or true about the role you're committed to playing, it will make true in your physical world. So that's where subconscious beliefs come in. If you subconsciously, I mean, deep, deep down believe that you're going to be poor, you are going to be poor. Someone could give you a big pile of cash and very quickly you'll blow it. And someone who believes they're supposed to be rich will end up with that money. And you'll end up with some toys that are depreciating very quickly over time. So your subconscious mind will make true whatever it believes to be true about you. Okay. But that brings us to an important question. Who told it what to believe? You did. You have been. You are right now telling your subconscious mind what to believe about the role you're playing, or in other words, who you are, but not in the language of the words rolling out of your mouth or even the thoughts you're thinking. It's a very special language and it's the only language that your subconscious mind hears and obeys. And here it is. It's the language of feelings. Feelings is the language of the gods. It's the only thing that your subconscious mind listens to and obeys. So you can lie your head off. I've done it. You've done it. You can say all kinds of things that aren't true with your mouth. And you can think all kinds of crazy thoughts that are so far out there that, they don't make any sense. You could be wrong about a million things with your thoughts, but your feelings are always true. So you can tell people, oh, I'm fine, I'm wonderful, I'm happy, but however you're feeling is what your subconscious mind responds to and believes, and it will keep your life congruent with your predominant feelings. Now, this is true because if you're in a relationship that's bad and your spouse treats you bad and you're not a clean one owner either, and you start thinking about what you believed relationships were supposed to be or going to be clear back when you were a child, even in junior high, high school, you hoped you'd find a relationship that wasn't that way, but you knew clear back then what your subconscious beliefs about what your relationship were. And lo and behold, that's what they are. And so you might say, well, Jeff, of course I feel a certain way about relationships because that's how my relationship is. But I'm going to prove to you, if you spend any time with me, that it's the exact other way around. How you feel about any aspect of your life is exactly how it's going to be. It's how it is.
And I totally agree. And a lot of times, because I'm on my third marriage, and if my wife decides to leave me, I'm going with her. I'm not letting her go. But I realized that I was always the problem, which I'll always admit 100%. But now when I talk to people, because for some reason they come and asking me for advice, I'm like, are you sure you want advice from me? But I tell them, in life, like I'm a coach also, I tell people, don't ask life for what you don't want. Ask life for what you want, because it's going to give you exactly what you ask of it. So if you want a marriage where there's no cheating, don't say I don't want a wife that cheats, that don't cheat. Say I want a wife that I will not cheat on, she will not cheat on me. Because a lot of people are always thinking of what they don't want. And if you keep saying that, life's going to give you exactly what you ask for. And that's what I want to talk to you about, because I want to bring it kind of into today's world, because the mind hasn't really changed since the 1900s, early 1800s, 1300s. We just put different names on it. Like for me, the reticular activating system is it's like shopping. Like whatever you focus on is exactly what you're going to get. Right? Is that what you're talking about? Part of what you're talking about.
Well, however you're feeling is what you're going to get. So feelings are self-fulfilling prophecies. Now, this is going to go counterintuitive to everything you've been taught about how you should go about life. And that's why manifesting, you can get really excited about something, start feeling really great about a new car, for example, but then you look at reality. And this is what manifesting coaches do. They have you get excited about something, feel really good about something, but then look to the physical world and ask, well, how could that happen? Where is it, for one thing? And why hasn't it shown up yet? And nothing's ever shown up like that before for me. And okay, as soon as you do that, how are you feeling? Yeah, deflated, defeated. It's not going to happen. You don't feel good anymore. So what do you do if feelings are everything, and they are? How do you change your feelings from being afraid of running out of money, for example, to just knowing that money comes to you in all different ways? It's just you're so lucky, and it just shows up, and great ideas come to you nonstop. You can't even use them all. And how do you get to where you really feel that way? Not just say it. Your subconscious mind is a crazy mechanism. And think of it as a mechanism that can be programmed, not as an entity, a passionate entity that loves you, because it will bring to you all the negative stuff that you command it. And remember, the genie only says two things: what is wanted, it's a question, and then your wish is my command. Your subconscious mind is always asking, what do you want? It's asking it right now. And you're always answering by the way you feel about that aspect of life.
Okay, now I want to hit on that a little bit because I had a client. He for years, every time I talked to him, I want that brand new Corvette. I want the new vet. I want the new vet. So
Yeah.
so have you driven one yet? He's like, no. So we actually went down to the dealership. We took a test drive. He took put the hot top down, had the hair blown in his hand, smelled the leather, touched it, felt it. Within 6 months, he had a Corvette because he felt it, and the feeling, like you said, the feeling was there. Like I know I have a boat coming in, and I know I got a vacation home. So when I go to Myrtle Beach, I actually go on tours of these $1 million vacation homes. I feel it. I smell it. I go for coffee. I sit there because I know it's coming. But like you said, you have to get the feelings involved, because if you're not feeling it, it's not going to happen anyway, because it's like you said, it's a fantasy. But once you touch, smell, feel, that's when stuff like that becomes real, right?
Yes. And now that he's experienced a Corvette, he knows exactly what it would feel like to own a Corvette and drive a Corvette. He may get tired of that Corvette after 7 or 8 years and want a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or something else. Or he may realize, oh, fancy cars don't really turn me on that much. I want my old pickup truck back. Okay. Your feelings and your subconscious beliefs are always changing, but here's how they're set. And this is what happened to you when you were young, and it's still going on. This idea that all of your subconscious beliefs were set before the age of 7, it is such rubbish, and it's such a dangerous thing to teach. You're setting subconscious beliefs right now, but they're happening a little slower than they happened when you were younger because you don't feel as strongly about things happening now as you did when you were younger. You've kind of, if you're my age, for sure, things just kind of, it takes more to get you excited, believe me. But here's how a subconscious belief is set. And by the way, you can use this to override any limiting subconscious belief that you already have. You can set a new one, and it's like paving over the old one. The old one doesn't really exist anymore. It's the new one that matters. Subconscious beliefs are set by an event that is accompanied by strong human emotion, feeling. So if you were a little kid and you got up to sing or talk and you flubbed a line and somebody snickered in the crowd, and then you forgot the whole thing, you couldn't say anything, you turned around and ran off the stage, that was an event accompanied with strong feeling. And maybe from that point on, you would no more do anything in front of a crowd than fly to the moon. You're not getting up to give a talk. You're not going to sing or perform. That's just, and you would tell people that's just not me, right? It's not my personality. Okay, and that's true, but it's because your personality now has a subconscious core belief that you can't really fight against. Now, let's say that almost on accident, you do something and it's good. And you turn around and maybe without realizing it, there are 4 or 5 people who heard you say that and express that, and they all start to clap. Well, now there's another event with strong feeling and it overrides the old subconscious belief. So now you feel like, hey, maybe I can talk and be respected and accepted. Okay, so these subconscious beliefs are being set all the time, but it's your limiting beliefs that are making your life not happy. And these usually, there's about 8 things, and the top ones are if you have limiting beliefs about your ability to make money or to have money come to you, money making opportunities, businesses, windfalls, luck. That's one that you need to change. If that one is negative, you're suffering. The next one is health and fitness. Like if you're out of shape, it's because you're doing things that keep you out of shape. Well, why would you do that when that skinny dude down the street isn't doing that? He's not eating a gallon of ice cream before he goes to bed. Why are you? Because of your subconscious beliefs that that's what you need. 7 o'clock rolls around, you're just so hungry for your ice cream. Well, he's not. How can you get a subconscious belief like his? And you can.
Well, I think like me and you are about the same age. So when I talk to young people about this, and I say, sometimes you have to take the tape out, like when we had the VCRs back in the day. You have to take the tape out and replace it with another tape
That's
because
exactly what you do.
like a lot of people with when I grew up, I grew up with severe ADHD. I'm an 8th grade dropout. Some people say, well, who are you to interview people like yourself, millionaires, billionaires, doctors, and lawyers? Until I changed the tape and said, like my mentor, Mr. Ed Milet, taught me that stop saying why me and saying why not me. I had to change the tape and put a new tape in, and I think that's what you're talking about. I put feeling. I had to put the feeling behind it. That's why if anybody leaves me a positive review, I screenshot it and I read them every day to let them know, yes, you were that, but you're not that anymore. And I put the feelings behind the positive instead of the negatives. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So let's talk about the tape, the movie that is running in your head. You see life a certain way, you see your place in it a certain way, you see your opportunities a certain way, and let's call this the tape. That movie that's running in the back of your mind all the time, no matter what you do, that movie is running. How do you change it? Because that movie, any movie you watch, any scene gives you certain feelings, right? You can't watch a scene of a movie and be into it without feeling a certain way. And you might be in the horror part right now and you're scared and oh my God, you got these feelings and then everything turns out okay and they're free and they get away and now you feel good again. That's what the tape is. It's the movie. So how do you take out a negative tape and replace it with a positive one? I'm going to tell you right now, you can't look to reality to change your feelings. Musa called reality the cave of wonders, not because it was a wonderful place to be. And that's, by the way, where he was trapped. The older thief trapped him in this cave and left him to die. That's how he tried to murder him. And so he called the fears and worries and concerns of the world the cave of wonders. And if you focus on reality, you're going to get sucked into the cave of wonders. So how do you change the movie? if you can't look to reality to do it. And here comes your superpower. This is your ability to imagine and pretend. And by the way, this is how you've learned everything. It's how you've gotten everything. It's how you put yourself where you are. You could see a vision of what you should do next, and then you would do it. But that vision is just pretending. Well, let's say you get lost in a really positive imaginary scenario. Let's say the scenario involves something silly like you're running along and doing your workout and the world drops out from under you and you slip and you fall into this cave. But as you clear your mind and the sun shines into this cave, you realize that there's chest after chest after chest of gold coins. And as you start opening up these old chests and looking at all the coins and you run your fingers through it and you start thinking, how much money is this? What is this worth? And you realize hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars here, and it's mine. And then you keep going with that. How am I going to get it home? Where am I going to put it? How is there any way to sell it? What do I do? How much would I sell? How much would I keep? Who would I help? You get lost in this. It's like a scene from the tape now that you can't help but feel good. And if that one doesn't work for you, come up with one that does. But now you feel good. Okay, but you know that that imaginary scenario isn't real, right? You know it's not real. Okay, Richard, what about the feelings it generates? Are those real?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. The event, you just created an event. And by the way, your subconscious mind does not differentiate all that much between events that you create in your own imagination and events that really happen to you. And I'm going to tell you why a little bit here. Everything that happens to you, you already interpret it and place value on it. Where? In your imagination. When you were young, you walked down the mall and three girls walked past you and they snickered and then went around the corner. You can't talk to them. You can't ask them what that means, or what that means. So you have to interpret it and place value on it. You imagine. Now you can imagine that they were all looking at you and pointing to each other and laughing because they thought you were cute. You could imagine that if you wanted to. And then you'd go through the rest of the day feeling confident and happy. Or you could imagine that they were laughing at you because you looked weird.
But now let's go back to that because I find it very interesting. Like I said, I'm getting very interested in NLP. And every time we go back to a thought, it makes another strand in the brain. And it just makes it thicker and thicker and thicker. So for me, like the way I turned my mindset around was when Mr. Ed Milet told me that nothing ever happens to you. It all happens for you.
Mm.
And everything is a teachable moment. So even whatever I went through, I had to learn that my mess is now my message. And there was a positiveness that was going to come out of all that. So that's how I flipped the script. And I see a lot of people that have been through some stuff like that. That's how a lot of them changed the tape. They just changed the feeling of that particular event, right?
That's right. And there's a whole bunch of ways you can do that. But one of the things Musa talked about is experience. And basically, experience is the currency of eternity. And everything you experience, good, bad, all of it, goes in the vault of your experience. And you're getting filthy rich just for being here. And to put this in perspective, have you ever run across somebody who used to be way overweight and not look very good, and then a year or two goes by and man, they're svelte and ripped and looking sharp and healthy and tan, and you're like, what did you do? And they tell you, well, that's you on the other side of this experience. People spirits who haven't come here yet, haven't had this experience yet, are going to see you when you get home and be like, what in the hell did you do? You are powerful. You're something that you weren't. What did you do? And you're going to tell them, I went to Earth. I had an earthly experience. And that's the reason they're going to want to go, to get the benefits that you have, the currency, the understanding, the compassion, everything that you now own. So when you look at your experience, especially negative experience, put a price tag on it. What's that worth? $1 million? $500 million? I mean, what is that worth, what you went through? The struggle you survived, put a price tag on it and start feeling good about your experience, especially the quote unquote bad experience. Because I can tell you, and you know this, if you went through something really hard, you became a stronger, harder person. You can handle more. If you had to take care of yourself as a child, your parents weren't there to do it, you're way more capable. You're way stronger now than someone who hasn't had that experience. And yet you'd think back on that as, that's terrible. I wish I'd had good parents who took care of me, you know? So count every experience as money in the bank. It's gold. And
But now, let's talk about, because I love Napoleon Hill. I loved his book, Think and Grow Rich. I loved the updated version that I read with Mr. Greg Reed and Sharon Lecter. But I wanted to know where he got his information from. So I went all the way back to the Carnegies. And it amazes me, and I talked about this all the time. The book is not called Work and Grow Rich. It's Think and
yeah.
Grow. And I think, but also a lot of people don't realize that just because you think it, and you said this, and that's why I wrote it down and circled it a couple times. Whatever you think, you have to commit to. You can't just think about it once and expect it to happen. Like before I go to bed at night, I picture me sitting in the new house, on the stairs, having a cup of coffee with my cousin before we go get on the boat. And I think about it as soon as I wake up in the morning, and I have the feeling of happiness. So,
Yep.
but I'm committed to it. I can't just think about it. I want to think and grow rich. And you can work and grow rich, but you can't really do it if you don't think and commit. What are your thoughts on thinking and committing?
Well, you just hit on something really powerful. And there's this concept of the nudges. So your subconscious mind is always speaking to you, but not in a audible language, right? You can't hear it. It's speaking to you in the language of the gods, impressions, feelings, thoughts, ideas, promptings. And so when you create the feeling of being, first you create the imagery of being with your cousin, sitting on the boat, just feeling great. You're creating that feeling that's associated with that, and it feels good. Then you go to bed in that feeling. Then you wake up and do it again. First thing in the morning, create that feeling. Well, your subconscious mind believes your feelings. And so then it wants to keep your life congruent with your predominant feelings. And right now, those are the predominant feelings. So it will support this, because now it believes that those feelings should be integrated into your life. It believes that that's true for you, if you will. So now it's going to make it true. How does it do that? By feeding you the idea, call your cousin, set it up, line it up, pick a date.
And like on my phone, my screenshot is the house I want and the exact boat I want. So every time I pick up my phone, it's there again.
Okay, so here's the trick. Spend time in that home, walking through it, looking at the door, sitting in the furniture, feeling it. Go upstairs, walk through the whole thing, and then give thanks. I'm not going to go into thanks and gratitude, but there's one of the seventh secret is that when you're grateful for all of your gifts, more gifts come to you easier, faster. It's just how it goes. So if you get into your home, your imaginary home.
Say it for the people in the back.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, listen, you got to buy my book. There's so many things that even Christ, when he was talking, and it's in other religious texts too, but there's things that brought me back to religion, but it's more of just an absolute belief in Christ and in who we are, who he is, how he feels about us. And it's in many ways uh, not congruent with what I was taught. I wish I had time right now to go into some of these, but one of the things that Christ said was, according to your faith, shall it be done to you?
Yes.
I always thought, well, how do I know how much faith I have? How do I know even exercise my faith? How? Okay, I'm going to tell you something. You can write this down, and this will change your life if you just practice this. Faith and imagination are the same thing. You can use those words interchangeably. The only place you can do faith is in your imagination, how you choose to see it. So if somebody says, well, I don't have faith in God, all they're saying is they choose not to see that to imagine that there's an all-powerful being who made everything and loves you. And someone who says, no, I absolutely have faith in God, they're just telling you that they have chosen to imagine it that way, to see in their mind's eye and in their imagination that there must be a being who loves me and I can pray to him and hopefully he'll help me. Imagination equals faith. Well, faith is the source of miracles. And miracles are just things that happen that seem impossible. Like, how could I ever find that perfect sweetheart? I'll tell you how. You imagine her, imagine being with her, spend time with her in your imagination, walk with her, talk, have her talk to you, have her tell you why she loves you, why she wants to be with you, how you make her feel. Spend this time, and I'm telling you, as you do that, you're going to generate the feelings associated with that perfect love. Well, you're doing something else. You're not just feeling good, you're flooding your subconscious mind with the feelings that match what you want. And if you do that, there's a certain intensity that you have to reach. It's not very much. It just goes up to about reality, what it would really feel like if you were with her. If you can get there in your imagination, and do it with a little bit of, do it several times a day, your subconscious mind will start to believe that. And what did I tell you about when it believes something? It must make your life congruent with what it believes. This is how it works. So you flood it with these good feelings and just keep doing it. Even if a month goes by, 3 months, and you haven't met your perfect sweetheart, live with her in your imagination, flood your subconscious mind, and I promise you something is going to happen. You two are going to come together. That's just how it works. It can work. No, go ahead, Richard.
It's something I teach all my clients, and something that's changed my life, and it's changed hundreds of people's lives that I coach, is that I'm a big gratitude guy. I am the gratitude king. When I go to bed at night, this is a life hack my listeners might want to hear and actually put into practice. When I go to bed at night, I put my arm around my wife and I pray for her. I pray for her health. I pray for her happiness. I pray for her to know that I love her and I cherish her. But then I lay down and I think of 3 things that happened during my day that I'm grateful for. And I'm sure tonight this conversation is going to be one of those 3 things. And then I pray to the Lord and just say, thank you, Lord. Thank you for everything. Then when I wake up in the morning, if I can see something out of my eyes since I lost my vision, I wake up and I say out loud, Lord, thank you. This is going to be an amazing day. And I say it audibly. My wife thinks I'm crazy. But so I go to bed with gratitude. I wake up with gratitude. So I'm waking up in a better mood. I'm waking up positive. So my day is going to be a lot better because I go to bed with gratitude and I wake up with gratitude. What are your thoughts, Jeff?
Well, you're doing it right, man. You can't be unhappy when you're grateful. And if you really want to do something fun, start thinking of things that you've thought of as bad experiences in your life and start saying thanks for those. And thanks for what you got out of them, and try to find any positive and say thanks for that. Ask a prayer of forgiveness over the person who wronged you. Just realize they're like me, they're doing their best, and maybe they really blew it there, but I've blown it too before. I've done really bad things. And so as you do this gratitude, all kinds of stuff starts to melt away. You feel differently about those experiences. What did I tell you? Feelings are self-fulfilling prophecies. As you generate highly positive feelings, you are building your future. Just trust me on this. Things are going to happen, and not everything that you imagine that feels good and that you experience in your imagination has to happen in the physical world for it to count. But if you listen, I could not believe in making more than like 10,000 a month at the point I got this manuscript. Like my money, not the company's money, but money I could go put under my mattress, 10,000 was as much as I could ever believe in. Within a year, I'm making hundreds of thousands a month, my money. How'd that happen? I absolutely changed how I feel about money. How'd I do that? My imagination. I imagined having a stack. At first, I couldn't go very high, to be honest with you. I could imagine about, 80 plus $1,000. That was my max. But as this began to work and my new business started taking off, of course, then I could see a couple 100,000, then 500,000, then 1,000,000. Then it just keeps growing because you've changed your deep-seated core beliefs. So when you're making 80,000 a month, you can imagine making 100. That's easy. Or 150. You may not be able to imagine making 1,000,000 a month, and maybe you don't want to. And that's fine. But if you wanted to and you started imagining more money, you might be able to imagine 300,000 a month, and you'd start getting there. Then you can imagine 5. You can keep going. It's all about growth. One step upon another step, and we're going to keep going, by the way, until we turn into what? What do children turn into? Their parents. And I think this is probably a good note, unless you have any other questions, Richard, to leave it there. You're going to need a little help. I thought I could write the book and people would read it and get the concepts, and then that'd be it. But because of the Cave of Wonders, because there's this war going on for your attention, for your focus. The real world, quote unquote, the physical world is trying to get you to focus on your problems, cares, worries, concerns. Oh, what if that happens, or this happens, or he gets hurt, or okay, that's always happening. But your job is to focus on your spirit world, your beautiful dream world. So there's another scripture. To be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. It's just talking about this war. Which one are you going to focus on? The carnal world, the physical world, or your beautiful dream world that you're in charge of? You get to have that any way you want.
But something talking about faith, like when I clean my kitchen, I make sure I clean my kitchen and wipe down the bathrooms every day. And as I'm cleaning, I'm saying, Lord, thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you for letting me have the kitchen that I have, but thank you for the kitchen that's coming.
Yeah.
And I believe that God, I call him God, a lot of, what you call in the universe, he's like a parent. If your kids always say, you know what, Dad, thank you. Thank you for everything you do for me. You want to run out to GameStop and buy that kid everything in the world because he appreciates it.
That's
And I
right.
think the universe is the same way. Like, I know there's no way I can be poor. There's no way. My father owns it all. So it's impossible for me to be poor. And once I realized that in this world, we own nothing, he lets us borrow it. So why can't I borrow the Maserati if I could borrow the Toyota? I'm not going to own it, but I'm going to borrow it. And if you own it all, you're my dad. So why can't I borrow it? So I think if we have that realization that the world is ours because our father owns it all, it makes you think that everything is possible because you are a child of God. He's your father. He owns it all. So why can't you get a little part of it? Right?
100%. Yep, you're right on track. And one thing you might realize as you begin imagining yourself owning a Maserati and you take it for a trip and you go down the road of your neighborhood and you see one of your best friends and you wave and he rolls his eyes. And you think, no kidding, man, if he went by in a new Maserati, I might roll my eyes. Who needs a Maserati? Or you might feel like, hey, this is what I want. Or you might feel like once you try it on in your imagination, no, you know what? I don't want a Maserati. It's fun to imagine it. It's maybe fun to go down and test drive one or drive my brother's, but now I realize I don't really want that.
Mm-hmm.
What I want is just maybe the lower model Mercedes or nice truck or what. But this is part of the deal. You use your imagination to hone in on what turns you on, exactly what you would want, exactly what home, in what neighborhood, exactly what automobile, exactly what kind of relationship with your wife. And once you have that, you're off like a bunny because now you know what to focus on and imagine your life being all the time. That's the movie that's running in your head all the time. And you can have your inner genie can get you anything you want. I'm going to leave you with that. And I know you have questions. Well, what if there's no way? Yes, there is. You look around you, skyscrapers, telephones, your cell phone, TVs, just the stuff that is possible. And you can have anything that you can believe in, that you want, that you can commit to, that you really want after you've tried it on and honed in on what I call your magnificent obsession. Once you have that, you can have it. And now you know.
And that's something that and then I want to ask one more question, but that's something that I actually have written down and I write it down almost every day, that your obsessions become your possessions.
Correct. Oh man, that's a good one. Richard, don't be mad if I steal that one.
So tell us, like I said, I already mentioned your Instagram channel. I already mentioned your book. So how do we find you? How do we support your mission? How can we pick up the amazing book? I absolutely, like I said, I'm on my third iteration. It's probably going to be one of the books like Crush It by Gary Vee that I pick up and dust off every single year and read over and over again. So how do we get in touch with you? How do we get the book? And also, how can we get in touch with you?
Well, if you go to Amazon and buy my book, that helps me spread the word. And I really appreciate that. But also you can go to sultans7secrets.com. That's the number 7, sultans7secrets.com. And you can download the video book. That's just me telling the story and sharing it all. And once you do that, you put in your email to get to download the video book. And then we can reach out to you. We can let you know when we have a challenge, or we can let you know about the workshop or any events I'm doing or the accelerator program. And that way you are connected. You can go to YouTube and watch videos of mine, and then you can click, and get more information. It'll take you to things that we want people to know about. And that's just all you got to do is download that that video book, and then we're connected.
All right. Now, tell us about your Instagram accounts and your other social media accounts so we can follow you and support you.
Yeah, I don't know anything about those. Those are managed for me by my marketing team.
Okay.
So I can't talk a lot about, but I know that we have a presence on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of that. And they're just managed by this fantastically capable woman named Chris. And so if you ask me, how does it all work? Silence. I don't know, but Chris knows, and she's one phone call away.
I love it. So, guys, I was on his Instagram channel today. Loved it, loved it, loved it. I commented, hearted it. So make sure you pick up the book. Very easy to get in touch with. Affable person, and I can't believe that I finally got him to come on the show, and I'm so humbled and grateful. Guys, if you want to find out what we're up to, if you want the coffee, anything like that, the coffee hats, t-shirts, go to verticalmomentumpodcast.com. Also, join my private coaching, which I only have a few people I allow in. It's very high end, but you get total quality from me, nobody else. So go to verticalmomentumpodcast.com. And guys, I'm a big Joel Osteen guy, and I always end with this quote. And that's why my t-shirt says, "Today I decide." Guys, today you could decide to be the victim or be the victor. So please make the right decision to be the victor and stop playing the victim. Jeff, my brother, thank you so much. I'm so humbled and grateful that we've finally got to do this, and our beards are matching. We look great. So I just want to say thank you, brother.
Thank you, Richard. Man, really great to be on with you. You're doing God's work. You really are, lifting people up and teaching them things that will make them happy and excited and prosperous. It's wonderful.
I love you, brother. And guys, remember, vertical momentum, the only way to go is up. I love you guys. Have an amazing week. All right, my brother, be good.
Bye, guys.